The mentoring department of the university is special. It fulfills the role of all-round student formation, all-round education, because the university is not only interested in the student in terms of his academics, but beyond that, because this is part of the Christian underpinning of the university. As a university, we're also interested in the personal aspect. So mentoring involves reaching out to the student, helping them to get to know who they are, and helping them to achieve their potential. It's not guidance and counseling where we only deal with the negative, but it's to help them achieve the positive, their full potential. So the mentors in the university usually volunteer. So they come from the members of staff in the university. We begin by training them. So understanding what is mentoring in Strathmore University. And then after a period of time, they also allocated mentees, their students. And then from there they connect, and then they begin taking them through this long process, which is going to last a duration of 4 years. And they continuously have refresher sessions every year, updating them on the current trends with students, the current problems with students, new areas where they can learn how to communicate better with students, how they can help them improve.
Many years ago, even before I went to university, I was a student in Strathmore College and I got a mentor. At that age, I did not think should add much value to my life, but the lessons I learned from my mentor have stayed with me all through life, and they have actually helped me to be a better person, to see the world in a different way. I see mentoring as a way to help the students be more holistic, to grow, and to be a support system for them when they are in the university as they undertake their undergraduate program.
And on the side of the students, when they come in their first year, they're all allocated a mentor. But what we try to do is also to specialize a bit. So in the first year and in the second year, what happens is that we deal with the formation of the person. So they discover a lot about themselves, and the mentor helps them to grow in these aspects. And then in the third and the fourth year, we have something which is called industry mentoring. So there they get an external person who will deal with them in a group setting, because in their first year, second year, the mentoring is one-on-one.
Since it was my first time to study in Nairobi and to come to Strathmore University, I faced a lot of challenges. The first challenge was peer pressure, and this lowered my self-esteem so much. And therefore, I needed someone to just talk to with and someone to help me through this process, since I needed that encouragement to push me so that I can study and remain focused. And that's how I ended up getting my mentor, Dr. John Mutisia, who was a very friendly person. He was a person who would reach out to me most of the times, and he was able also to listen to me and also to advise me accordingly. And this made me to be very happy. And that's why right now he's more than a mentor. He is a friend, since we can just chat in Kiswahili, and it just becomes also interesting for me since I'm able to open myself.
The future of the mentoring office right now is we're still trying to grow the industry mentoring program. We had the first pilot phase in 2019, so 2020 this year in July, we will launch it officially. And the idea is to make it grow, because we have found it's a very useful instrument. And at the same time, we partner a lot with the parents. So hopefully also we hope to grow these parenting seminars.
My name is John Chigiti, Senior Counsel.
My name is Jacqueline Betty. I did my undergraduate here at Strathmore.
My name is Amy Asaro. I'm a fourth year at Strathmore Law School.
My name is Christopher Juma. I'm a project manager by profession.
Mentorship is basically holding up a mirror to yourself. You're able to see the gaps that you've experienced in your own life, in school, in work, all the questions you have growing up. You're like, okay, how does it translate from classroom to boardroom? If you ever get there, which you will, but then you still need someone to hold your hand. And I think that's the second element of industry mentorship.
It is that space, that interaction with the students, which helps them bear and understand and embrace and acknowledge what it is like to be in the job market. So it becomes easy for them, because when they go into the job market, their focus is on quality. They have already learned how to deal with those items which the mentor has made them understand and or appreciate.
For me personally, the drive to join the industry mentorship team in Strathmore was my own experience. So in the years that I was in Strathmore, we did have some pairing that was done with some members of faculty who would then give you tips or offer some sort of guidance. But I believe now, looking back, that was, I wouldn't say narrow, but at the time the limitation was that they were all members of faculty.
We best learn through other people's experiences, because you don't want repeats of the failures and you want to multiply the wins. I was very thrilled to be picked for this program. Just seeing what was in store for us was amazing. We had a one day at the place of work. We had discussions with the mentor, and it's not just any person being picked. It was someone related to something that you're either passionate about or curious about, someone who's definitely bound to help you going forward and to understand maybe if you want to pursue this path or not.
Indeed, the pilot exercise turned out to be a very interesting, a very powerful potential platform. I met lovely, brilliant students, very bold, very committed to what they were doing, full of dedication. And we developed our own work plan.
My motivation was, first of all, to be able to give back, because I believe that wherever we are, in whatever profession you're doing, you have something to offer out of your experience and out of your real world knowledge, outside of the many interesting theories that we would read in the books.
And I'm glad that those people who have distinguished themselves and are continuing to distinguish themselves take some time and are committed to this program, because it's a very rare but special opportunity to also interact with these people, and it encourages us to also give forward once we reach those places.
For industry mentors to participate in this, you may not think that you have something to offer, but at the end of it, you're still somewhere far along where a mentee would like to be at. And where else are they going to get that knowledge? I think that's the biggest reason why industry mentors should participate in this. It's that you're definitely somewhere that someone would want to be, and that's enough.
Good morning, everyone. I'll start off by saying my name. My name is Celestine Kanjama. I work in the mentoring department, and I would like to welcome each and every one of you to this great morning when we bring you a beautiful program in Strathmore through the mentoring department. And my job today is to be your master of ceremony. I hope I will do a good job. I will try, I'll attempt to do a good job. And before that, I think if we had everyone here, it would have been a very good thing, a crowd to direct. Majority of our audience is online, so I'll ask the ones at home, office, everywhere to check the environment, to be familiar where they are, and I hope everyone has a glass of wine or champagne next to themselves so that they can celebrate the launch of industry mentoring. The few are present here. We have the ladies are on my right and the gents are on my left. And we observe the COVID protocols. So we keep the distance, we have our masks on, and we sanitize as much as possible. I have a little nephew who keeps telling me, Mikono, Uso, Umbali. Yeah? So let us keep the COVID protocols. So with no further ado, as we get ready for this beautiful day, I would like to invite Dr. Elizabeth Gashenga to give us a brief on the history of the mentoring culture in Strathmore University. Dr. Gashenga is our DVC Academics and Student Affairs in Strathmore University. Karibu, Dr. Gashenga.
So, our distinguished guest of honor, Dr. Caesar Mwangi, the CEO of ICEA Lion Kenya. Welcome. Good welcome also to our Vice Chancellor Designate, that's Dr. Vincent Ogutu. Welcome to all the participants who are attending this particular session physically. And then more importantly, a big welcome to all those who are attending the event virtually. Sometimes I know it can feel a bit odd to be speaking to a computer screen. So I'm happy that a few of you are here present so as to be able to interact. And of course, those out there, to please feel free to also reach out and interact with us. So my presentation is going to be really and truly an overview of what was intended by the mentoring culture that was inculcated in Strathmore University, and actually from Strathmore College and Kianda College, the forerunners of the university, from the moment they were established. Yeah? So I know, especially for our students out there, when you see the word history, you panic. But don't worry, I shall not go into the details of the history, but just basically to give you really and truly just an overarching idea of where we came from and why we have mentoring. Okay, so one may ask themselves, what makes Strathmore special? Yeah? There are many universities out there. There are many institutions of higher learning that actually do more or less what Strathmore does, yeah? Which is to impart knowledge, provide technical skills in particular areas. And so basically from that perspective, I'd say most of us are doing more or less the same thing. So I guess each one of us, each learning institution has that one thing, their niche market, or that essential characteristic that distinguishes them from all the rest. Yeah. So in the case of Strathmore University, this being our mission is what we try and achieve and what we hope distinguishes us from the rest of the institutions of higher learning. So right there in our mission statement, I have actually highlighted the word all-round quality education deliberately. Yeah. So what is it in Strathmore that we seek to do differently? So in Strathmore, yes, we are interested in the formation and the imparting of technical skills, but more importantly, we are interested in the person. Yeah. So the individual And the whole idea is to make sure that the formation that we give at Strathmore University is holistic. Yeah? So we're not only interested in our students becoming, experts in their particular area or field or discipline, we're interested in them also becoming good and holistic persons. Yeah? So that's one of the things which we attempt to do in the course of our formation. Just a request to the team at the back to please move the slides back. Okay. So that's and this particular essential characteristic was actually the idea that drove the founding father of this institution, Saint Josemaria Escriva, a saint of the Catholic Church. Yeah? So basically, the message of the founder can be summarized in the context of what it is that we're trying to do here by a conviction that if we do our work well and we do it responsibly, then it goes beyond the immediate consequences and the benefits of the work. Yeah? So it becomes a particular way of directly contributing to the development of society. Yeah? But even more importantly, he also saw the possibility of using our work, of course, that is done well, excellently, to actually find the meaning and purpose of our lives. Yeah. So for Christians, of course, that is about seeking the reason for which we were created, which is to have a personal relationship with God and hopefully to end up in heaven. So that was the message behind the founders' thinking in terms of the spirit. And at Strathmore University, we have tried to be very, to keep to that spirit, to keep to the founding spirit that is behind the objective of the university. So what's the goal of mentoring at the university? So if you go to our website, so we have a specific page on the mentoring, on the mentoring exercises and services that the university offers. And when you go to that webpage, you will see that the goal of mentoring is about developing supportive relationships. Yeah? So it's not a one-sided imparting of knowledge. The objective is that hopefully the mentor and the mentee can develop a relationship where the mentor supports the growth and the thriving of the particular student. Yeah? But I think life has also taught us mentors that generally it goes beyond that. Yeah? That little by little, you start to discover that there are aspects of things that you learn from your mentees. Yeah? And that's one of the things that I think I have benefited in terms of my relationships with my mentees. Yeah? So it's true, you do support them, and as the mentor, of course, you have a greater responsibility to support the students. But I think it's also important to recognize the fact that we also have reverse mentoring, where a relationship with the students actually also helps improve our perspectives of life. And I think very especially it helps you enter the life of young people. Yeah? So a big thanks to my mentees if they're out there watching. Yeah, so I've also learned from you, both my present mentees and even the ones who've come before. So it's a supportive relationship, and hopefully it's a relationship that continues beyond their life here at the university. Now, how exactly do we do this? So in the first and second years, we focus on personal development of the students. Yeah? So first and foremost, as soon as the students arrive, generally the things that go through the minds of a young adult who has found themselves in campus is, who am I? Yeah. Suddenly you have some level of freedom which you probably did not have in high school. So it's like a development process. So among the things we try and do as mentors is to help the students to discover themselves, to discover their temperaments, to get some insights into their character, and to little by little appreciate the things that are very specific to them and that can influence how they make the most of their life. Yeah? So, as I said, supportive relationship. So the initiative must come not just from the mentor, but even more importantly from the mentee. The mentee seeks to use their relationship with someone who's been there before them to actually see, how can I discover what my life is all about, yeah, and how I fit in as an individual. Second year, now of course, if you go to the website, there are many other goals. I'll stick to summarizing what I consider the overarching and perhaps important goals that have been identified and included on that website. So for second year, and I think all of us can relate to this, usually there's a lot of analysis of self, yeah? Some level of looking back to our first year, and then also learning from our mistakes. Yeah? So I think many of us who are here remember our life on campus in the first year. And oftentimes, if we're not careful, this sudden freedom that we're enjoying could lead us to exercise that freedom irresponsibly, and as a result, end up with grades which, those grades which later on you feel like telling the person who's interviewing you at work that, this grade is not a representative of my true potential, yeah? Or unfortunately, you could end up having to repeat units, and not because of the fact that you do not have the capacity, but it could easily be because we use that freedom irresponsibly, yeah? So that, I think, is something that happens a lot in the second year. And it's a good thing, yeah? It's a good thing because then it prepares you for life. You start to appreciate that, life is not always a straight line. Sorry, our slides are super sensitive. John? Oh, it's moved. No, it's moved too far. Slide after. Slide before that, please. Okay. So in a very specific way, just again a very basic overview of what exactly it is that we are trying to achieve with the industry mentoring. So one of the things we've realized is that if a student actually takes their first and second year of mentoring seriously, then by third year, they've more or less discovered who they are, and they have already begun thinking, so where exactly do I want to end up in terms of my profession? And usually my experience at this point is that people sometimes end up with like a professional crisis, yeah? Where they start thinking, oh, wait a minute, am I really and truly in the right course? Yeah? Maybe they've already done their work-based learning, yeah? And they're thinking, oh, I didn't really like being there. So I can tell you many of my mentees most of my mentees are actually law students. Oftentimes, after going into a law firm, and seeing the demands of the law firm and the kind of things that have to be done, of course, it breaks their mentality of, the television series that tell you about law, etc. And suddenly you start to see the realities and the demands. And sometimes people have a crisis. Yeah, so they come and they tell you, oh, I don't think I want to work in a law firm. And usually at this point, you have to have conversations with the mentee and explain to them that it's still too early for them to start excluding certain aspects and certain potential opportunities for them in the future. Yeah? So usually the conversation is, at this moment, what you can't say is, I will never, or I don't want. Yeah? At this moment, the most important thing is to be open and to start discovering all the possibilities that your career offers. So the third and fourth year mentoring that we've introduced is actually is intended to help the students to discover themselves in that context, to start to understand the industry. And we really thank all those of you who've taken up this challenge of helping us, of joining us in the formation of the students at that particular level in terms of what their life is presenting. So that's the whole role of this industry mentoring. I won't go into the details of what exactly it entails because I think John will deal with that. So the next, okay, excellent. So that's more or less what I was talking about in terms of what exactly you will give them. So you have all these aspects that you discuss with the students. A lot of it is about motivation. A lot of it is about, giving them realism in terms of what it is that the industry actually expects. A lot of it is about, turning the knowledge that they have received into practical skills that are real, yeah, and that can enable them to move forward in their careers. Next slide, please. Okay. So these are our values. These are the core values that Strathmore University ascribes to. Yeah? And these values, there are certain particular values that are very pertinent in the lives of our students and which we try and instill during the process of mentoring. So among the things that we're hoping that our industry mentors will do for us, and I think the pilot has proved to us that actually they have done this for us, is to contextualize the exercise of industry mentoring within our values. Yeah? And I think first and foremost, the first value is about excellence. So it's a question of demanding excellence or defining to the students what excellence in the profession looks like. Yeah? So we are hoping that the practical and theoretical knowledge, yeah, or rather the theoretical knowledge we tend to give in the first and second year can already start being applied in a practical way at this level of mentoring. So in terms of mentoring, one of our key characteristics, and actually one of the core values of Strathmore University is freedom. Yeah? So all this formation happens in the context of freedom. So freedom meaning, oftentimes people ask, but in Strathmore University, why don't you have strict rules? Yeah? It started in Strathmore College and later on Strathmore School, that people would be surprised that there were no prefects. The same happened in Kianda School, which happens to be the school I went to. We didn't have prefects, yeah? We had a class council, and the objective of the class council was not so much to catch you, yeah, if you did something wrong. It was actually to represent the views of the students. So that is one of the most important things that we try and inculcate in our students. And I thought it's important to share it with you, our industry mentors, just so that you understand how it is that we seek to impart the knowledge. Next slide, please. Okay, so this actually is a quotation that is taken from the founder of Strathmore University, that's St. Josemaria. And as you can see, one of the things that was his great conviction was that the person who has to drive themselves is the individual who is being mentored. Yeah? So that last part, yeah, that the individual is the one who has to discover what it is that is good for them, yeah, and to acquire convictions with respect to this. Yeah? So because of that, one of the characteristics of the industry mentoring program is going to be that it is not automatic. Yeah? So whereas in the first and second year, all our students are allocated a mentor, they all have the opportunity to reach out to the mentor, and ordinarily the mentors will also do the first reaching out. At this level of third and fourth year, we believe you've discovered yourself as a student, you've attained a certain level of maturity, and therefore you have to take the responsibility, you have to want to take part in this particular exercise. So it's good to know that, yeah? So especially the students who will get the opportunity to be mentored, look at it as, as a special opportunity which perhaps not all the students will get, and use that to make sure that you get the most of these mentoring exercises. So that basically is my presentation with respect to, the overall goals of mentoring at Strathmore University, and what it is that we're hoping to achieve with this particular section of mentoring, in terms of where we are going with this new program that we're calling Industry Mentoring. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gashenga. That was I learned a lot in the process, and I kept on thinking, should I go back to review? Why am I here in the mentoring? And I liked the last photo you showed because it had my mentee there. So Asia, we like you, and we are happy that you are featuring. Next, we are going to have Dr. Mutesia, and as he prepares to come over, I just want to mention, in 2019, we decided to do a pilot phase of industry mentoring. We had a couple of students who participated in it, and it went well. So for us to understand better what this industry mentoring is about, we thought we'll share a little bit about what happened during that time, and get to see, is it a worthwhile cause for us to undertake. So allow me to invite Dr. John Mutesia, who is the head of department, Strathmore Mentoring Services. Karibu.
So good morning, everyone, once again. And thank you for making the time to come here. And welcome also those who are viewing us from home, from your phones, wherever you are, from the offices. And this, I just want to give a brief history of this industry mentoring journey, picking up from where Dr. Gashenga had left off. I would like to explain how we decided to kickstart the industry mentoring program. So usually we have a career office in Strathmore, and their task is to try and help the students prepare for work, and sometimes also to place them in the work environment, to help them get internships, to help them to be better prepared. So they usually give us some feedback, and we share the feedback that they get from the industry in terms of preparation of the students. And one of the things that come back from the industry are some of the defects, you could say, of the students, some of the things that they're lacking, and there are several things. And we kept them in mind. And one time, those of you who are engaged in research or try to collect data or send out feedback surveys, you know how difficult it is to get people to give you feedback. They read it and then they just go to the next thing. So we also try and get feedback from the students regarding mentoring. So we try to get students to give us feedback on what they thought about mentoring. So rather than sending out a survey, we went for another route, which was to try and entice them. So since they're also very busy, we got them during their lunch break. We provided them with lunch, hamburgers, Coke, etc., the things that they love. And we sat them down. So we had a focus group with a few of them, like 15 from each of the schools. And one of the girls there, as we were concluding the session, we asked her, what do you think we could improve in relation to mentoring at the university? And she was very direct. I won't say from which school she was, but some of you would be able to guess. So she told us, next slide please, that she likes mentoring in Strathmore and she has a good mentor. But how is she going to be prepared for the workplace? She's realized she's growing as a person. She's discovered so many things about herself. But she said, she began like this, we have mentors who help us on a personal level, but we need to get in touch with the world out there. How are we going to get jobs if all we know is how to do assignments? And then this is when it really struck us that, okay, it's true, they work a lot, they're really engaged, but also they need some special preparation for the industry. And one of the best ways is actually going out there, which is the industrial attachment, but also to have someone who has practical industry experience coming to speak to them. And also they can share experiences with the students. So this is when we decided to make a transition. Next slide, please. And this transition was to industry mentoring. So we felt that personal mentoring was, you could say, one arm, but we needed another arm, which was the people from the industry. Next slide, please. And we had the following hypothesis. So our idea was to connect the students with people from the industry. But then it was not just anyone from the industry, because as Dr. Gashenga has explained, we needed people who understood our values. So we started thinking, where are we going to get industry mentors who understand the Strathmore values? And those who don't, how are we going to convince them of the importance of this? It's a very little anecdote, but it demonstrates something which I found very interesting. At Strathmore University in the cafeteria, when someone finishes their lunch or their tea or whatever you're having, there are no waitresses who pick up the plates. So you grab your plate, your cup, and you take it to a little hatch which is there. And everyone is used to this, and it's very easy to tell someone who is in Strathmore for the first time, because they don't understand that. So recently, I was in another session with an alumnus of Strathmore University. So he had done some accounting courses here and then went on to do his degree. And he was explaining to a group of students the following. One day he was invited by a colleague of his at the office to come for dinner. So he went for dinner with this gentleman and his wife at their home. They had no house help. They had a lovely time. They enjoyed themselves. They finished their dinner. And then he went on to pick his plate and take it to the kitchen. So obviously they were a bit baffled, but they were even more baffled when, as they were taking theirs, they found him even washing the plates. And this is a top executive in a revenue collecting company in this country, a very top person. And they were surprised and told him, no, leave the plates. The house help is not there, but she'll come tomorrow. And then he looked at them and said, but look, if she's coming tomorrow, there's no point of the plates sitting in the sink. And after all, we are the ones who have used them. It's not anyone else. It sounds like a very small or silly thing, but I think underneath there, one understands the whole idea of service leadership. This is someone who is at a top position, very qualified, but at the same time, he has picked up all these values that are taught, some indirectly in the university, through the environment that is provided here. Kindly continue. So we needed mentors as well who are able to grasp the values at Strathmore University. Kindly just keep the bullets going. The next one. And the same thing, so if we get quality mentors, which is what we are desiring, who understand the values of Strathmore, the same thing with the students. We needed students who are up to the task, because one of the tricky things that we faced is that we hadn't found a way, or there was no way we were going to offer remuneration to the industry mentors. Most of them were volunteers. So we also had to make it worth their while. If they're going to take time out to come to Strathmore, sit with the students, mentor them, we had to make them worth their while by getting some of the best students to begin the pilot phase. And this is what we did. And the students obviously stood a chance of benefiting most in this program. So they would learn how to make the transition from study to work, understand their career path with clarity, because it has become a common event to find someone who finishes a degree in one field but ends up working in a completely different field. I guess even among us, there are people like that already. So the students stood the best to gain. So in 2019, towards the end of the year, the focus group, we carried them out towards the beginning of the year. So towards the end of the year, we launched the pilot phase. And the pilot phase was not carried out in the whole university. Since it was a sample, it took part, only 3 schools took part. And of the 3 schools, we had 56 students from there. And from the industry, we had 12 people. And we tried to group them together for this industry mentoring program. So ideally, they would meet on campus, and the mentors would come to Strathmore. They would meet in the cafeteria, outside, in the mentoring rooms. Next slide, please. And we got some feedback from the mentors as well as the students, which is what I would like to share with you now. In terms of the students, they found it was an amazing experience. So first of all, to get in touch with people from the industry, and then people who could help them see how the things they're learning in class will be relevant later on. For those who are paired up with alumni of Strathmore, they also moved to see how these people volunteered their time and their expertise just to be with them. People who, I mean, in the 3rd year of study, have not too much experience, have nothing to give, but you could say have only more to receive. At least that's what the students thought, because later on we'll see that the mentors, as Dr. Gashenga mentioned, also experienced the aspect of reverse mentoring. So the people giving back to them. And one of the things also that the students really appreciated was being able to plan their career and have some clear goals. So in some of the sessions, the mentors would actually help them strategize and come up with little goals, try and improve their skills and know what they should have by the time they're graduating from their 4th year. There were many positives, and they also gave us feedback in terms of the things we could improve. One of them suggested that as the program begins, that it should have some goals. You could say it should have a challenge, such that you begin the program guided by your career mentor, your industry mentor. You go through the whole challenge, and then at the end, there's the result. And then they see how you fared in accordance to that, as a way of helping them also boost their skills. And they also faced many challenges. One of the greatest ones, I think, because a good part of the program was physical. So the mentors had to come here, and the students also had to make time. There were some sessions also where they went to the industry, they went to the offices of their mentors to visit them, to see what happens there. They met their bosses. They spent a typical day with their mentor at the office. So sometimes it was difficult to find a common time slot for the meeting. Next slide, please. The feedback from the mentors, some of whom are present here, was that aspect of reverse mentoring. They were really enthused to see students who are so focused and career-oriented. Many of them also began to understand what they refer to as the millennials' challenges. So some of the things that these young people perceive as problems of the future and some of the challenges that they have, which as an older person, they may not have thought of. And they also they really admired the initiative to reach out by the schools and the university in general to try and get mentors for these students. And many of them were well surprised that the aspect of remuneration did not even come up too much. Most of them were willing to volunteer and to give their time, because also they felt that when they were younger, it was something that they would really have helped them also to find their path clear in their profession. Some of the feedback they gave us, which was interesting, was one of them mentioned how the students were predominantly occupied with getting a job. Rather than using the experience to learn, they were trying to find a way into the organization. This, you could say, is not a direct aim of the industry mentoring program. If it happens as a consequence, well and good. But the whole idea is for the student to learn from the mentor. And then finally, one of the feedback that the mentors gave us also was the fact that they would have liked to have a profile of the students. So the students knew more or less about the mentor, but some of the mentors did not know too much who they were going to get. So in conclusion to all this, as a way forward, we're almost done developing a web portal, which will be on the Strathmore mentoring site. So here you'll have a chance for both mentors and the students to register. And there we'll create their profiles. So the mentor has to key in a certain amount of details, their photo, etc., so that their profile is created. The same thing for the student. So that also when the pairing takes place, then both are aware of who they're getting. So the mentors usually get 5 to 7 students, not more than that. and usually from the same field, obviously. But then they'll be able to look at the list and know also what are the interests of the students so that they know exactly how to tackle the industry mentoring sessions. At the same time, the web portal will be very useful for feedback to us. I'm aware also that probably in this presentation, in this launch, we won't cover all the details, and I'm sure most of you will have questions. So our email address is also there, and there will also be a slot there to key in any questions that anyone might have. So the portal will be ready hopefully by next Friday, 16th of April. And I wanted to conclude now with a bit of a roadmap as regards the rest of the year. So this month, we officially launched a program. And at the same time, we'll complete the portal. And then after that, we begin the registration process. So what will happen in May is we have the pairing process, and a bit later in the month, we have orientation for both the mentor and the mentee, just to set the expectations. And also we found that from the feedback from the mentors, they told us that it would be useful to have a bit of training in some of the mentoring skills in case at one point they have to talk to a student one-on-one. So they requested for that. So those are some of the things we'll include as part of the orientation. In June, the meetings begin. And they will last for a period of practically 6 months until November. Because also one of the things that we realized in the initial phase was that when the students become very busy, especially during exams, then it's difficult also for them to organize the meetings. So we'll try and end them in November before they start doing the exams in December. And then finally in December, we'll try and gather the feedback from the participants to improve the sessions now for next year. So thank you very much. This is our email. You can reach us there if anyone has any queries.
Thank you, Annette, for sanitizing for us. Thank you, Dr. Mutisia, for that presentation. And as Dr. Mutisia was talking, I remembered a brief conversation I had with some of you just before this meeting. And one of the things we were commenting was that we wondered, actually, if the Strathmore student, really knew what you are being offered and how lucky you are. And I think it is true, because I think when I was your age, if I had had this particular help that you are being given, maybe I'd be a different person. Not that I'm regretting the person I am. I'm very happy. Yeah? So thank you very much. And I would like to next invite our Vice Chancellor Designate, Dr. Vincent Ogutu, to give us brief remarks from the university itself. Thank you.
Our guest of honor, Dr. Caesar Mwangi, the DVC Academic and Student Affairs, Dr. Elizabeth Gashenga. We have Dean Chow that I can see over here of the School of Tourism and Hospitality. Then the heads of our mentoring department, Dr. John Mutisia, Celestine Kanjama, our mentors, our industrial mentors, mentees, friends, welcome to today's session. I was listening to Dr. Gashenga saying it's good to have some people in the room. We know there are many people out there. It feels different, of course. But what Dr. Caesar Mwangi and I can relate to is we've been on TV together many times, the two of us. And it feels a little bit like this. You're actually just 4 people talking, but you realize that there could be hundreds, thousands of people out there listening. But you never quite get used to it. It's not the same as actually seeing the people there. So we believe you're out there, you're following what's going on here, and you're just excited as we are. This is a journey that has taken a long time. I mean, Strathmore, as you know, has been around for 60 years. Last month marked the 60th mark. I think it was the 6th of March, 1961, and it's now 60 years later. And one of the things that actually distinguishes Strathmore from any other institution is the fact that we have mentoring. There's that one-on-one attention that students get that helps them to grow. And it's not just the classwork, it's not just the academics. We also have sports and extracurricular activities. All that is good, all that is fantastic. But then it's very hard to substitute the attention you get from a mentor, that one-on-one conversation. Not just once, not just twice, but a relationship that can span sometimes years, at the end of which you come out as a better human being, better informed, and you're you're way ahead of your peers in other institutions because of that level of attention and help. I'm sure for those who are in this young generation, like me, I can relate because I like music so much and I like sports so much. So when you think about it, some of these great people that you admire in the world of sports and in the world of music, they all had coaches. I'm sure you watch American Idol, you watch The Voice. Somebody who's obviously got talent presents themselves, him or herself, on stage, and they get promoted to the next level, and then they get to choose a coach from among the panel. They say, I want so-and-so to coach me. Why is that? It's because they've been there, they're ahead of you, and there's something you can learn from them. You'll obviously do it your way because you have a different set of talents, a different voice, a different journey to live, but they can give you some guidance. And so one of the first things they do is pick a coach. And those who are obsessed with football, like me, again, we're always talking not just about the players, but about the coaches as well. Because those players end up being great because somebody is guiding them. And in a funny way, in the world of sports, it might not even be someone who is as talented as the people they're coaching. They might have played before, they might not have, but they definitely know a heck of a lot because they've mentored so many people. And so they know very many paths, and they can look at you and say, I think you're heading in this direction, and this is what could help you best. So that relationship that we have with our mentors, and now with the industrial mentors, is a fantastic thing. I'm particularly excited about this new development in Strathmore's history, where we're now going into industry mentoring. Because everyone's talking about the 4th industrial revolution, and we're here. And we're looking at how can we prepare people for the new kind of workspace, for the modern economy. How do you navigate those waters? How do you prepare them? And I think this is going to be a game changer for those who are passing through Strathmore, to have somebody who's in industry preparing you before you step out there and suddenly start wondering what this is about, which is what happens to most graduates. In your case, you'll just slip right in. It's as if you've been there, and you have vicariously through all the conversations you had with your industry mentor. So I think it's an amazing thing. I'm very, very excited about it. And as I introduce our guest today, our guest of honor, Dr. Caesar Mwangi, I think you couldn't have chosen a better person I've known him for years because he is an alumnus, first and foremost, of Strathmore. He did his CPAs in Strathmore, and as a result of studying accountancy in Strathmore, he also studied in the University of Nairobi, did a BCom, got a master's from WITS, an MBA, and got his PhD in organizational performance and change management from the University of Johannesburg. Because of that start in accountancy, he ended up working for some of the big firms that we know today. So if you think of the big four, you think of Deloitte and Touche, you think of Price Waterhouse. He's worked for them. He worked for Coopers and Lybrand, which merged with Price Waterhouse. It became PwC. The C is for Coopers, and he was with Coopers and Lybrand in Nairobi. And then he went on to work for Deloitte and Touche in Johannesburg. And he's got plenty of industry experience in addition to that work that he got because of his CPAs from Strathmore. He's been CEO of several organizations. I'll just mention a couple of them. He was CEO of Sassini, and currently is the CEO of ICEA Group, which is the holding company for 8 companies. So he's like a CEO of 8 CEOs. He knows a lot about industry, so he definitely can tell us a lot about the future of industry mentoring. But I think what really sets him apart, once we've looked at all that experience, all that industry experience that he's had, is his approach to life. If you look at his interests, the sort of things that he's passionate about, I talked about the number of times we've been on TV together. So we used to go to the Leadership Forum on NTV, led by Debal, and he liked pairing us. So we would typically show up on the show together with maybe 2 other people. So we've done numerous sessions together. And he's so interested in the personal development of people. In fact, his own consultancy, just look at the name of the consultancy, the Center for Personal Leadership. So he's not just talking about leadership, he's going into the person. What kind of a person are you? And how will you then lead others? And leading here means inspiring. How will you inspire others? In fact, the system that he came up with through the Center for Personal Leadership, which he uses in all the organizations that he's directed, is a cultural and values-based system. So he uses values as drivers of change management. Remember, his PhD is in organizational performance and change management, and his approach is that personal line where he's looking at personal development. So I've been in, I want to say countless, of course it can't be, but it feels like countless presentations that Dr. Caesar Mwangi has made, in which he's speaking so passionately about personal development, living out your values, being ethical, being concerned about others. It's amazing. You can look them all up on YouTube. You'll find plenty of sessions. In fact, in some of the sessions we did together at NTV, they would ask us to give a short speech. And in his case, they'd actually cut out his speech and paste it separately from the entire speech because it was just so good, so very good. So I'm very excited about having Dr. Caesar here. It's always a surprise, even though I know him so well. I'm always looking forward to, okay, what's he going to cook today? You know, what's he bringing to the table today? What has he got up his sleeve? And how is he going to inspire us today? Because I'm so sure that he will. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Caesar Mwangi. Karibu.
Thank you very much, Vincent Ogutu, for those very kind words. I must tell all of you now that Vincent is one of my role models, and I've learned a great deal from him. and I think he's shared some of the things that we've done together, and I constantly learn from him. And this man is amazing in terms of understanding who he's dealing with and being able to describe it. You're one of the few people who have managed to describe me fairly accurately. And I'm very humbled by that, Vincent. Thank you very much. But all protocols observed, my dear friends who are here in this room, and all those who are out there, as was mentioned, we know you're out there, and we thank you for taking the time. I know out there we have mentees, students. I thank you for taking the time, for being with us. I know out there we have mentors and potential mentors, and I know out there we have friends and family of Strathmore University. So welcome. I have a few minutes just to share a few words, and I am very, first of all, honored to be given a very big name which I'm not used to, called Guest of Honor. I'm not used to that name, but I accept the honor of being invited here as a guest, and I believe all of us are guests of honor because we are all honorable people. So I think that title should be shared by everybody. But I was asked to share a few words on this very auspicious occasion of the launch of this industry mentorship program. And when Celestine reached out to me and told me what Strathmore is planning to do in this program, and the launch will take place today, I was very excited because it was right down the area of interest, which is so dear to my heart, for very, very, very simple reasons, which I shall try and share with you today. The first thing I just want to mention is, if you look at our lives, we have what we call, I always like to call, a window of opportunity, all right? A window of opportunity. From the time we are born to the time we pass on, we have a window of opportunity in that time period. And within that window of opportunity, we have other windows of opportunity in between. So I would say we have the main window of opportunity, and within that big window, we have several smaller windows. Vincent has mentioned some of the windows of opportunity I've been involved in, and those are the places you work, the institutions you study in. Those are all windows of opportunity. And for those of you who are out there who happen to be students, if you are admitted to Strathmore University, you are actually given a window of opportunity in a very good institution. Because there are approximately 70 universities in Kenya. There are thousands of universities in the world. But you happen to join Strathmore. And that is your window of opportunity, because within that window of opportunity, you get certain opportunities to interact with certain lecturers, to engage with certain values, to engage with a vision which was so well shared by Dr. Gashenga here, based on somebody who is no longer alive right now, but had a vision for the world in terms of how we should treat our work. You are given the opportunity to engage with that vision. And had you gone to another university, you would not have had this window of opportunity. So I'd like you to be aware of the concept of windows of opportunity. This mentoring program is another window of opportunity which is available to you. The other mentoring program, or the normal mentoring program, is a window of opportunity which is available to all students of Strathmore. And of course, when we are offered these windows of opportunities, sometimes we don't see them. So we disregard them. We consider them a bit of a bother. But I want to tell you now, if there is one thing you need to pick up from the launch today, is recognize the windows of opportunities that you have. And gratefully embrace them, especially if they are well thought out, well-developed, well-defined, well-designed for you. Because believe it or not, when I look back, and somebody here mentioned, I think it was Celestine or Dr. Gashenga, they mentioned when I went to university, I did not have the opportunities that Strathmore University students had to have a mentor. I went to a public university, Nairobi University, straight out of boarding school, straight into the public university with all the freedom that is there, without a mentor. Now you can imagine the adventures of trial and error. The errors are more than the trials. That is the situation many of us faced. And of course, we cannot undo our life and say, let me go back, become younger, and apply to Strathmore University because it's a better place. Time is gone. But those of you who are here and have an opportunity, the window of opportunity is yours to take advantage of. So that's the first point I really just want to paint, because life has been described in different ways. And I just want to mention 3 ways that it's been described. Number 1, life is described as a journey. It is true, it is a journey. And on the journey, we keep on moving on. And that journey ends, but we don't know when it shall end. So we keep on moving. And I know somebody who said, I don't know who said this, but it has always struck me. If you can run on this journey. If you can walk on this journey. If you can crawl on this journey. But for heaven's sake, keep moving. I don't know who said that, but it is so true. We cannot stop and say, I'm tired. We have to keep moving. Classic case we have here today. Strathmore University keeps moving despite the COVID, despite the lockdown, despite the demands for social distance and staying away from each other. We still have to launch this program because we're on a journey. And no matter what the difficulties, we keep on moving forward. So life is a journey. The second thing, some people say, life is an adventure. It's an adventure. And what is an adventure? It is a process, a movement without certainty, without guarantees. Because at any corner you may encounter a situation you didn't expect. That's the adventure of life. At any corner you may encounter a brilliant opportunity. At any corner you might meet somebody who may change your life for the better or for the worse. At any corner, you might meet your maker. That's the adventure. But we have to live it and embrace it and move on until the time it ends, until the adventure ends. And then there is somebody who also said that life is a mystery. It's mysterious. Because we are always trying to discover who we are, why we're here, and we need to understand that so that we can live purposefully. It's a bit of a mystery. Why were you born in Kenya and not in China? It's a mystery. Why were you born into the family you were born into instead of another family elsewhere? The parents you have, unique. It's a mystery. We cannot explain it. So we're constantly trying to understand what is our role in this mystery? What is going to be my contribution in this mystery? Who am I? Why am I here? And where am I going? Somehow a bit of philosophical questions, but very important questions we need to ask ourselves. And as we go into this program, recognizing all these things that I've mentioned about life, the one thing I want to mention, which is very important, that this program underpins and which has been mentioned here and which I want to repeat, is that it is about the growth and the thriving of our students. It's about the growth and the thriving of our students. So we're very clear on the outcome we seek. The mentoring session is an activity. The outcome is the growth and the thriving of yourself, of the student. That's the outcome. But why should we want you to grow and thrive? Why? It is because we want to help you to be fully human so that you can respond better to your mission in life and make an impact in the process. Therefore, we have an activity called mentoring. We have an outcome, your growth and your thriving, and we have your impact in this world. Very important. And you need to understand that continuum. So you don't just think it's another activity by Strathmore to bother you. No. There is something bigger here we're looking for. A better society. And you will be a key player in that better society. That's the impact. I always tell people that if we look at the continent we happen to be part of, we're considered a very backward continent, a very poor continent. A very rich but a very poor continent. But most important, I believe we're very rich. We are very rich because we have the most young people in the world. The majority of the people in this continent are young. Out of 1.3 billion people, 75% are very young. And that is our wealth. So we are simply cultivating our wealth through a program such as this. And you are the wealth. And with this wealth, we shall make a difference, not only in this continent, but in the world. Because we also export the best. We make a difference all over the world. One of the wealthiest countries, I understand, in the world is the United States. And I understand there are many, many Kenyans who have made a huge difference in that country. With a light touch, I understand one of them even became president. With a light touch, eh? But the point I'm making is, and by the way, this guy called Barack Obama is very interesting, eh? The former president of the US. And reading his book, Promised Land, recently, I noticed he had written in the book that when he became president, some of the friends he used to hang around as a student were asking, really? This guy is a president? This ordinary guy who never shone in anything. They didn't know who they were dealing with. Eh? They didn't know. And we recognize every single one of you, students. We perhaps don't know who we're dealing with. But we know you have great potential in you to make huge difference in whatever you do, wherever you go. So I've talked about the impact. We want to help you to be fully human so that you can respond to your life mission and make a good impact, a positive impact in the world. And when I now look at the very specific area which we are here for, which is the work environment, and I always say work cannot be divorced from personal development. Work and personal development always go together. I think Dr. Vincent mentioned, I was running a center called the Center for Personal Leadership. It was basically emphasizing that we need to take personal responsibility of ourselves and the things that we do and the direction that we take. We need to understand the values that we hold dear, that we shall hold dear because they're important and they will guide our actions. Because you cannot put up a building without a foundation. Your value base is your foundation. And you will take decisions based on your value base. And they will be consistent with your value base. Because if you don't do that, then you are working without a foundation. And that is the challenge that we have. And you look at any institution that thrives, it will thrive because of the values it holds dear. Look at any family that thrives, it's the values they hold dear. Look at any business, it's the values. And look at any business that collapses, it is the values, eventually, that are held by individuals within that business. And those are personal. So I'd urge all of you, as you embark on this program, think about what is your value base as you get into the work environment and continue with your personal development in the work environment. I want to tell you, over the years I've discovered a number of very important issues that are so relevant in the workplace. And I'm sure your mentors are going to help you in understanding some of these issues. Because your work life, on a very simple basis, assume you start your work life at 25 years and you intend to possibly retire at 65. You at least have 40 years of work before you. 40 years. And you may work 50 years, you may work 60 years, but on average, 40 to 50 years. Is it a long time? Depends on how you look at what is long. But it can be a very short time if you apply yourself and realize that there are so many things you need to accomplish that it's a very short time. Because the world needs things to be done and you are contributing to them, you have a very short time. 50 years is a very short time. You've got to do it. Strathmore has been around 60 years. It's a long time or short time? There is still so much to be done. It's a very short time. So we need to keep on moving. With or without COVID, we keep moving. We keep launching new programs, new departments, new research centers. Keep on. Because time keeps moving. We need to keep on moving. And so, these 40 years, how are you going to apply yourself in these 40 years? Just a few ideas I want to share with you. And I've shared one of them, which is a very clear value base to guide you. The good news is you will make decisions with a lot of certainty. You will take actions with a degree of conviction and certainty. The bad news is not everyone will agree with your point of view. And in some cases, you will suffer for your point of view in the real world. You will be discriminated for your point of view. But it is important that you still stick to it if you have considered that that is important. Don't be surprised if people don't accept it. So that's the first point I made around a clear value base. The second, I just want to mention that when you get into the workplace in those 40, 50 years or 60 years, you have a choice in relation to the idea of service. You can either choose to serve yourself or you can choose to serve others. Sometimes it's referred to as the greater good, the common good, but the idea of service. It's a choice. But you're likely to face the common experience where service to self is the predominant paradigm that is embraced in the world we live in, that is promoted, and that is adhered to by many people. However, I would suggest that it is better to embrace the service to the others, the service for the greater good, the spirit of service that has been mentioned here, which may not always be understood. But I honestly believe at the end of the day, if you have a cup of seeds and you need to take care of yourself with those seeds for the rest of your life, you have two options. You can slowly eat those seeds every day for yourself, or you can plant those seeds and help them to grow for others. And as they grow for others, they also grow for you. I suspect that is an analogy for saying the spirit of service benefits more people, but it will always benefit you also. When you plant a tree, you don't plant it for yourself, you plant it for others. That's why you plant a seed. So think about this idea as you go out, because it is very easy to get trapped in the situation where you feel it's not benefiting me, therefore I should not engage in it. So cultivate the big idea that you're more than just fulfilling your needs, and you're making a difference for others and helping others to even be better than you. Okay? And this spirit of service, I can tell you, will make a huge difference in terms of your own satisfaction and discovery of your mission in life, which I talked about earlier. It's a mission. It may not be easy, but it's a mission. And a very fulfilling one for that matter. Not an easy one, but a fulfilling one. The second thing, also related to this, is the issue of collaboration. You have to collaborate with others. You cannot do anything on your own. So we have the idea of personal goals, but if you get into a job environment, you will never achieve a business outcome on your own. So the whole idea of the teamwork sometimes is referred to. I think Vincent talked about sports. You can have a few stars in a team doing very fancy moves on the basketball court or the football pitch, a few of them. But if they don't work as a team, they will lose, ultimately. You'd rather have less stars, more teamwork, rather than more stars and less teamwork. This is what I've learned over the years. But you will find that there's a tendency to think, I am the best and I don't need to collaborate with others. And you're known as a difficult star who doesn't collaborate with others. So be careful about that possible tendency which actually may lead to your own downfall. So able to collaborate with colleagues so that you get the business outcomes that are desired. In our business, we're in the insurance and finance business, and we find we have to collaborate. You know, we have what we call underwriters, we have people in operations, we have people in finance. They all have to collaborate as we underwrite the business and collect the fees from our clients. All these people have to collaborate. Otherwise, the people may sell and we may never be able to collect our money because there's no collaboration. We all lose. So we emphasize the issue of collaboration. So embrace that. The third, which I want to mention very quickly, is related to the first, a purpose bigger than yourself. Okay? That whole concept of service suggests that there's a purpose bigger than yourself. And this is a very difficult notion sometimes because when you go into a place, you find that all you're doing is perhaps clerical work, capturing certain records, and you feel that is all you're doing. But you're contributing to something bigger than you. Yesterday we had a leadership training in our organization, and one of the examples given was of a cleaner in the ICU of a hospital, a lady who was cleaning the ICU of a hospital. And she was extremely enthusiastic about her job. And when she was asked, why are you so enthusiastic about your job? She says, I am saving lives because I have to sort out all the bacteria in this space and make sure every space I touch with my mop and my sanitizer clears the bacteria. Because one single bacteria on any of our patients can lead to a loss of life. And I gotta do it well because their lives depend on me. She understood her job. She understood the bigger picture. She's not just cleaning. All of us need to link what we are doing with the bigger picture. What are you trying to do? When I was in agriculture, I used to tell my people, our people, we're not just trying to make money here. We are generating badly needed foreign currency for this country. So we've got to produce the best quality tea from our business, which will fetch the best prices, so that we can earn foreign currency that will help us import the things that we need. It's a big picture. We had thousands of people who are employing in the rural areas. We are creating opportunities for people to work in the rural areas of this country, in the Rift Valley, in the Central Province where we had farms. Let's make sure we take care of our business so that those people can continue earning livelihoods, because if they don't have livelihoods there, they will move to the cities and live in the slums under very degrading conditions. The big picture. And I keep saying we've got to ensure our businesses succeed because they are creating employment opportunities for our people. Thousands of students are leaving university and they're going into the job market and there are no jobs because our businesses are not doing well and some are collapsing because of mismanagement. The big picture. As we speak today in this auditorium, this minute now, if you go to the north of Africa, to a country called Libya, on the Mediterranean coastline, there are Africans trekking and waiting on the beaches, looking for boats to cross to Europe, as we speak. Because they are fed up with Africa and they need to get out. 50% of them will die in the Mediterranean Ocean, trying to get away. The big picture. We got to create opportunities by doing things well, by building our businesses, our institutions, creating opportunities for others so they don't have to go there. Those are our children. The big picture. And whatever you are doing, wherever you're doing it, you're contributing to a big picture. Identify the big picture. I also want to mention, you need to nurture the spirit of ownership. It is not somebody else's business. Feel it is your business. Because when you have a sense of ownership, you're going to take care. You're not going to leave the water running in the washroom. You're not going to leave the lights on when you leave in the evening because somebody else will come and put them off. Or it doesn't matter that we waste electricity. It may be 50 shillings saving when you put off the lights for one night, but it's your business. Don't waste resources. Ownership. You're going to make decisions knowing that this decision is for my business, it's for my institution. You're not going to disappoint customers because they are your customers. I always tell my colleagues that one disappointed customer is one too many. One is one too many. Because that customer is ensuring that you get a salary. That salary is paying for your children's fees, for your health care. That customer. And if you lose that customer, assume you lose these possibilities of remuneration. The customer is important. So take care of them. If they're disappointed, sort them out. Bring them back to a good relationship. Because if they're not in a good relationship with you, they'll go tell others how terrible the service is, and nobody cared. Ownership. Embrace that. I also say you need to have a level of dependability. We can depend on you. 4:30 in the evening, you're not just going to disappear and say, my day is done, my contract says working hours are up till 4:30. Yet there is something that needs to be sorted out. It's related to ownership. But can we depend on you to sort out what needs to be sorted out because it's necessary, it's important? Yeah, it's important. You also need to have what I call a level of emotional intelligence or self-control where you understand the people around you and you're able to work with them amicably, always recognizing that they're human beings with certain emotions, certain difficulties, and you're therefore able to control yourself so that you relate with them well. And this contributes to the teamwork I talked about. Okay? So understand when you're upset, and when you're upset, don't talk too much. Because you understand yourself. You'll say the wrong thing. So you've got to work on yourself. Understanding yourself and controlling yourself. And that's a level of self-control. Okay? Otherwise, you then end up being labeled as a person who is prickly, sensitive, difficult to deal with. And nobody wants those kind of people around. Now, if you can understand this, you will be the person who is the go-to person. When there's a special project, you're the go-to person. Because you have a spirit of service. You have an emotional intelligence and able to deal with others. And you're going to get things done. And when you become a go-to person, you somehow become indispensable. We have a situation, I remember, at one time we employed an intern from Strathmore, actually, give an internship contract to a Strathmore student. And we were giving internship programs to several students from different universities. But this particular fellow, I remember, his name was Joseph. I mean, he was the go-to person. He met people in the finance department who had been there several years, but everybody soon realized this is the man who sorts out things. Very pleasant guy, able to deal with people, and very hardworking. And he was even doing better than those who had been there for a long time, with better qualifications than him. When we heard that he had got a job somewhere else, we were so disappointed because we wanted to give him a full-time job. And I know he moved on and did very well. Because he had the right attitude in the workplace. He's the go-to person. So make sure you try and develop that capability to be the go-to person because the jobs are rather scarce. And everyone is looking for the go-to people who are also rather scarce these days. But I think Strathmore can produce them. Right? And then I want to just mention finally what I call the extra mile attitude, which makes you that go-to person. You go the extra mile. You ask for an inch, you go 2 inches. Do better. When you realize there's a challenge somewhere, solve it before anybody says there's a challenge here. You've identified it. The extra mile attitude. My dear friends, I don't want to go too much because I'm sure your mentors are going to guide you. You're going to learn a lot. I want you to embrace this opportunity. First of all, by ensuring that you embrace the spirit of gratefulness for the opportunity you have. Do not take it for granted. I want to tell you this for free. Because there are many people who don't realize the wonderful opportunities they have and they just let them fall through their fingers. So be grateful. Take advantage of this opportunity and embrace it fully. Enjoy the adventure that is availed to you in this window of opportunity and become the light in the place that you are placed, in the workplace that you end up, in the opportunities that you are given. Become the light. There's a beautiful song that says, light your candle, go light the world. I love that song. Some of you may know it. And I want to close finally by just sharing with you the mentality which we have, which we coined in our organization, which we call the Simba mentality. Allow me to share, because this is very personal. We thought about what kind of mentality do we want to see in the workplace. And we coined this mentality with a few points, and we call it the Team Simba mentality. Our logo is a lion in the ICA Lion Group. And I just want to share with you, because it is something that we have really tried to cultivate. And the Team Simba mentality says, Team Simba mindset says, we do a lot more than we are paid to do. We don't look at the pay and say, I'll only do what I'm paid for. No. It's the first thing. It's mindset. We give a lot more than we have to. Mindset. Extra mile. We try a lot harder than we feel like. You know, there's some days you don't feel like doing anything. You don't feel like waking up. You want to just continue sleeping. You don't feel like working when you get to the workplace, so you just flip through your messages and waste time and wait for the time to end. No. You overcome your feelings and do more. Your willpower. And we aim a lot higher than we think possible. You've got to adopt that. I believe Strathmore has a similar mindset from what I see going on here. Students from Strathmore, therefore, will find it very easy to embrace this kind of mindset. And then finally we say, always giving a lot of thanks for being part of what we call the ICA Lion Group, otherwise known as Team Simba. And you can change that to always giving a lot of thanks for being part of Strathmore, always giving a lot of thanks for being part of whatever institution you're a part of. Give thanks. Because that will help you always to continue, even when you don't feel like, because you are grateful for the opportunity in that window of opportunity. My dear friends, as we launch this industry mentorship program, I congratulate you. I congratulate Strathmore. I congratulate the mentors for stepping up. I congratulate the mentees for being committed to this next stage, the journey of life, for this window of opportunity. And I wish you all the success as you discover who you are really meant to be and the impact you're supposed to make. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cesar Mwangi. A lot we've learned, I have learned, and I think I'll borrow a lot for my mentoring sessions as we keep going. Now it's time to launch our program. I'd like to invite Dr. Cesar Mwangi, our guest of honor. We'll have loved to have everyone on the podium, but because of the umbali, we'll only have 4 people coming up here. So we'll have Dr. Cesar Mwangi, Dr. Ogutu, Dr. Gashenga, and Dr. Mutisia. Karibuni for the launch. And I will invite the audience, both here and online, to join us in the countdown as we launch the Strathmore Industry Mentoring Program. So we are going to start. 3, 2, 1, 2, 1. Yay! So officially, the industry mentoring program has been launched. We are very happy, very, very happy. I'll ask. Sorry, I think after this, we will have the vote of thanks, then I'll call you back for a photo session. So don't get tired, but before as we sit, I think we'll ask Dr. Gashanga to give Dr. Or Zamwangi. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. I will take 2 to 3 minutes just to give a quick vote of thanks. And when we began, I think I started off by welcoming the team on the virtual platform. This time, I want to start by thanking the people here present. I'll mention a few, just to say a big thank you for creating time to be here with us. We have Senior Counsel Chigiti. Thank you so much for honoring the call. We have Jacqueline in our audience. Thank you so much. Those are our 2 industry mentors. We have Dean Chao. We have Dean, the DOS, Paul. We have Godfrey Madigu, Dr. Madigu, also our Dean. Thank you. We have a Student Council representative. Thank you. And one of our Pilot Fest mentees. Thank you for having come. And then a big thank you also to the members, the board members and the management board members who are present, that is the VCD and the DVC ASA. And a big thank you to our guest speaker, Dr. Cesar Mwangi. But also allow me to say another big thank you to different people, different groups we worked with in preparation to launch or to have the industry mentoring working and may not be here. I will start off by the alumni office, Eric, Saulo, Anita, Christine, and the team. We are very grateful for your inputs, for working with us, and we hope to continue working together to make the program better. They gave us a lot of support, referred a lot of alumni for this program, and we hope to still get a lot from them. Thank you to the lady who runs the careers office, Ivy. She has been also there giving us insights, checking what we are doing, what would work better in the industry. Thank you, Ivy, wherever you are. And I will not leave out the schools, because without the schools, we will not have run the pilot. Without the different schools, we will not be able to talk about industry mentoring working. So all the managers from the different schools, the coordinators from the different schools, and the deans, and everyone else from the school who gave us support and ideas, thank you, and we hope to work even much more as we start running the program. I also want to thank our audience on the online platform, our industry mentors, the ones who have given in their applications, all those we have had different trainings with. We've run different sessions to train industry mentors to get them acquainted with Strathmore ethos and what actually we want to do with industry mentoring. All those who participated, all those who are following us on the YouTube and Facebook, thank you so much, and we look forward to working with you. A big thank you to all those who participated in the pilot fest. We don't take you for granted, especially the students, for your feedback. Thank you for filling in the forms and giving us feedback that has enabled us to reach today and even enrich the program itself. I don't know if I've left out any other group, but once more, just to say a big thank you to everyone. And as we wind up, also I'd like to thank my office mates. I think we have an admin who has really helped us to put this together. Ruby, thank you so much for all the emails sent out, for being in touch with everyone and getting the thing working. A big thank you to all the service providers. Robert behind there, we are very grateful that you are here to stream the event live for us. Thank you, Matthew, the techie guy, for being there to support the technical part of it and to keep us going. Thank you, the communications people. I think if you go to the social media, Twitter, Facebook, you will see this event live. Yeah, their comments, their postings are going on and on. And as we come to the end, I just thought I'll make reference to a comment that our VC likes making, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Odhiambo. He likes asking us, especially in this period of COVID, to thrive. Yeah, he's always saying, let us thrive, let us thrive. And then it happens that we are launching this program in when our motto of the year is thriving through personalized attention and lifelong learning. So I think industry mentoring, here we are, here we come, and what a better way to live this motto, what a better way to live these two values and to leverage on them. Thank you once more, and have a beautiful day. So after that, I'm going to invite, we'll take some photos. So I'll start off with Dr. Caesar, Dr. Gashenga, Senior Counsel, Jackie, at least the guys who have participated in it, to have some few photos. We'll try to have social distancing. So Annette, I stand to be corrected if I float the rules. Yeah, so that we have the podium is not congested. Yeah. So maybe we can start with the Dr. Mutisia, Dr. Gashenga, and Dr. Caesar Mwangi. We can start with you. And then I'll ask the deans to join in. Yeah, and Senior Counsel too. Yeah, we can stand under. I hope the lights, could we put off the lights so that we don't burn you, or they're okay? The cameraman can advise. Can we read their smiles on their foreheads? Okay, thank you. I'll ask the deans to join in. Dr. Chao, Dr. Olukuru, Paul.
Senior Counsel.
My name is Jacqueline Betty. I did my undergraduate here at Strathmore.
My name is Amy Osoro. I'm a fourth year at Strathmore Law School.
My name is Christopher Juma. I'm a project manager by profession.
Mentorship is basically holding up a mirror to yourself. You're able to see the gaps that you've experienced in your own life, in school, in work, all the questions you have growing up. You're like, okay, how does it translate from classroom to boardroom? If you ever get there, which you will, but then you still need someone to hold your hand. And I think that's the second element of industry mentorship.
It is that space, that interaction with the students, which helps them bear and understand and embrace and acknowledge what it is like to be in the job market. So it becomes easy for them, because when they go into the job market, their focus is on quality. They have already learned how to deal with those items which the mentor has made them understand and or appreciate.
For me personally, the drive to join the industry mentorship team in Strathmore was my own experience. So in the years that I was in Strathmore, we did have some pairing that was done with some members of faculty who would then give you tips or offer some sort of guidance. But I believe now, looking back, that was I wouldn't say narrow, but at the time the limitation was that they were all members of faculty.
We best learn through other people's experiences because you don't want repeats of the failures and you want to multiply the wins. I was very thrilled to be picked for this program. Just seeing what was in store for us was amazing. We had a one day at the place of work. We had discussions with the mentor, and it's not just any person being picked. It was someone related to something that you're either passionate about or curious about, someone who's definitely bound to help you going forward and to understand maybe if you want to pursue this path or not.
Indeed, the pilot exercise turned out to be a very interesting, a very powerful potential platform. I met lovely, brilliant students, very bold, very committed to what they were doing, full of dedication. And we developed our own work plan.
My motivation was, first of all, to be able to give back, because I believe that wherever we are, in whatever profession you're doing, you have something to offer out of your experience and out of your real world knowledge, outside of the many interesting theories that we would read in the books.
And I'm glad that those people who have distinguished themselves and are continuing to distinguish themselves take some time and are committed to this program, because it's a very rare but special opportunity to also interact with these people, and it encourages us to also give forward once we reach those places.
For industry mentors to participate in this, you may not think that you have something to offer, but at the end of it, you're still somewhere far along where a mentee would like to be at. And where else are they going to get that knowledge? I think that's the biggest reason why industry mentors should participate in this. It's that you're definitely somewhere that someone would want to be, and that's enough.